The best storytelling advice I've ever gotten didn't come from a best-selling author, a screenwriting class, or a marketing guru. It came from my next-door neighbor. Well, not my next-door neighbor, but someone who posted in the Nextdoor app about being jolted awake in the middle of the night. Yeah, I know how creepy that sounds, but hear me out. Sometimes the best places for storytelling inspiration are the places you would least expect. The truth is, stories are hiding everywhere in plain sight. You just need to know where to look for them. So today I am sharing with you the 6 weirdest places that I go to for storytelling inspiration. Now, in case this isn't obvious, I am not saying that I go copy these stories word for word and pass them off as my own, but quite often when you read other people's stories, you are reminded of your own stories, and that becomes copywriting gold. And I am telling you, once you see these, you will never keep scrolling the same way again. And you already know that I saved the best one for last. Honestly, part of me wanted to keep this one all to myself. Starting with number 1, you knew this was coming, the Nextdoor app. So you know what might be the most underrated storytelling source on the internet? Your next-door neighbors. Or the Nextdoor app, where neighbors argue over garbage cans and complain about fireworks and ask if anyone else heard that weird noise at 2:17 in the morning. Most people think stories have to be these big things, but honestly, it is the small, relatable, everyday stories that are the most impactful. Like that time someone wanted to actually sue their neighbor because the bees that they were raising were stealing pollen from their flowers. True story. Or probably one of the most famous examples is what inspired the Twitter account Best of Nextdoor, which now exists almost entirely because of bizarre neighborhood dramas like this. A woman became convinced that someone was sneaking into her yard at night, not to steal anything, but to rearrange her garden gnomes. Seriously, every day she would post another update. And eventually she started signing the posts from the perspective of each individual gnome. I mean, come on, are you kidding me? Or what about the harassment cat? For the past 3 weeks, a cat had been following me on my daily walks. I'm worried that the owner might have trained the cat to follow people and rob them when they get home. You can't make this up. Or my personal favorites, farting in my mailbox. Someone keeps farting in my mailbox late at night. I can hear it outside the window and I smell it every time I check my mail. This is getting old and is extremely childish. My bills and coupons smell so bad I can't even pay them or use them at the grocery store. Anyone in my neighborhood, keep an eye out for the brown eye. I will catch that flatulent phantom. I have reported this information to the police. I literally have no idea how I got through that without laughing. I had to restart a couple times. And this proves that a good story doesn't depend on how big the conflict is. What matters is the character's relationship with the problem. But if you think that's the only place that ordinary people accidentally become great storytellers, then you clearly haven't been reading the right reviews. Yep, coming in at number 2, 1-star reviews. If you ever want to see ordinary people become accidental storytellers, read 1-star reviews. 5-star reviews can be great, and you might find like a hidden gem or 2 in there, but the real gold is almost always found when you scroll all the way to the bottom to the 1-star reviews. People who are absolutely furious write the best reviews, because when people are emotional, they stop listing facts and they start telling stories, and a lot of times these are really detailed stories. Take the infamous Haribo sugar-free gummy bears reviews on Amazon. There are literally hundreds of full-blown cinematic reviews of the digestive apocalypse that happens after eating these gummy bears, apparently. Nobody needs any more explosive diarrhea. Some of these reviews are thousands of words long, but this isn't only limited to Amazon. Oh no, this applies to Google, Amazon, Yelp, or even your favorite podcasts. Anywhere there is a review to be left, there is storytelling gold. Because no one says simply, the service was bad, 1 star. Instead, they write, I drove 40 minutes, waited outside in the rain, finally got seated, only for the waiter to disappear for 30 minutes while the table next to us got dessert before we even ordered. It's a relatable experience that can be the basis of an amazing email or even an ad. And if reviews can turn people into amazing storytellers by accident, just imagine what happens when millions of people do it on purpose, which brings me to storytelling source number 3. You knew this was on the list, Reddit. Reddit teaches you that people just can't resist gossip. Now, obviously, there are thousands of Reddit threads out there, and really every single one of them can have a great story hidden in it. But one of my all-time absolute favorite storytelling goldmines on Reddit is a subreddit called Am I the Asshole? And it is absolutely freaking fantastic. So basically, someone tells a true story from their own life, right? Something they did, and then they ask the question, am I the asshole? Was I the wrong one here? And then thousands of people, literally thousands, become completely invested in that story, not because the stories are like action-packed or, say anything special, but again, it's that thing of relatability. The human experience is so full of tension on a daily basis, and what we might think of as small things are actually big things that most of us spend our days worrying about, because we all have a lot more in common than you think. Should she have said that? Should she have not said that? Was he justified? Who's actually in the wrong here? These are real life, everyday, so-called mundane things that actually keep us up at night. And when we read somebody else's story that mirrors our own experiences of like doom spiraling at midnight, we immediately relate. We even start arguing with it in our own heads. Like we try to resolve that conflict, even though the conflict is not ours to resolve. We're like, I can't believe he said that. And then you're like, and I said, and then he said. And that's exactly why Am I the Asshole has exploded into one of Reddit's biggest communities with tens of millions of members and hundreds of new moral dilemmas posted every single day that you can use as storytelling inspiration. But if you think modern day internet drama is where you'll find the strangest stories, wait until you see what's hiding on Wikipedia. Okay. So first of all, can we please give a collective shout out to Wikipedia? Free and still being run by humans, not machines. Go support them, you guys, and keep them going. I donate every single month, just a couple of dollars, and it really helps them out. Now, do not judge me for this because it's kind of morbid, but Wikipedia's list of unusual deaths is one of my favorite pages to actually browse through. I also really like their unusual articles page. Again, these pages are storytelling gold, because where else would you learn about, the Cattoni, a mythical race of people whose ears were as long as their bodies? I'm sorry, what? But we already know that real life is often stranger than fiction. So take Bobby Leach, for example. If you have never heard of him, he was the second person in history to survive going over Niagara Falls inside of a barrel. Yeah, he survived something that almost nobody else on Earth had survived. Why people do that, I do not know, but that's a story for another day. But then a few years later, he died after slipping on an orange peel. I mean, that is an incredible story that I couldn't even make up if I tried. I love reading these pages because it reminds you that the world doesn't follow a perfect storytelling structure. As storytellers, we're always trying to reinvent, twists and construct the perfect story from scratch and manufacture drama and tension. But sometimes the best stories are inspired from just reading a post about a strange myth or an ending that you didn't see coming. So if the internet's weirdest corners can teach us this much about storytelling, imagine what one of the oldest, most overlooked sources of storytelling has to offer. I'm talking about number 5, your local newspapers. One of my favorite sources of stories that nobody thinks to check anymore is your local newspaper. Like this story in the Daily Herald about a little girl walking with her aunt who spotted 4 ducklings stranded beside a busy road. They started knocking on strangers' doors, asking for help, and soon neighbors they had never met were stopping traffic and carrying ducklings across the road and wading into a marsh to reunite them with their mother. When they finally released the ducklings back into the pond, everyone started crying and high-fiving. It's a beautiful story, right? Or here's another one. The Los Angeles Times recently covered the retirement of a mailman named John Ayala. On paper, that's not exactly headline material, right? People retire all the time. A mail carrier retires after 42 years. Cool, don't really care, bro. But the story wasn't about the retirement, it was about the relationships that he had built being a mail carrier. More than 200 people showed up to his retirement party. People he literally watched grow up right before his eyes. Families he had known for decades. Neighbors who said he made their community feel like a community. It's not a story about a job, it's a story about a person who made serious impact. Almost every great story is hiding inside a completely ordinary one. You just have to know where to look. As promised, the absolute best hidden gem on the internet for storytelling inspiration, number 6, fmylife.com. Yep, just spend 5 minutes on the site and you will find an unforgettable story after the next after the next. But again, it's not because these stories are like ultra dramatic or tell this incredible, unbelievable tale. It's because they are the most ordinary WTF moments anyone could ever think of. And that is exactly what makes them both so hilarious and so relatable at the same time. Every single post is describing one painfully awkward, ironic, or just plain hilarious yet somewhat unfortunate moment in someone's life. And the best part is that they are just a few sentences long, so they are quick enough to skim through and quick enough to make you squirm. This one made me seriously laugh out loud. Today, I was proud of myself for remembering my wallet, keys, and phone before leaving for the airport. I got all the way to security before realizing I left my passport on the kitchen table right next to the travel mug I also forgot to bring. I have done that, literally that exact same thing. Or this one. Today, I accidentally liked a social media post from 2017 while scrolling through someone's profile. I panicked and then I blocked him. Then I remembered blocking him wouldn't stop the notification, so I just shut off my phone and unsuccessfully tried to convince myself that it never happened. FML. I mean, who hasn't been caught creeping someone on social media? That is 100% what this person was doing. These tiny moments are things that almost all of us have experienced in one way or another, and that is exactly why they work. They remind us that great stories do not have to be extraordinary to be interesting. They just have to make people think, oh my God, I have totally been there myself. That's when they stop reading your story as an outsider and they start experiencing it in real time with you as you are telling it. Give me a thumbs up below if you found this video helpful and fun and entertaining like I did. And make sure you subscribe below for more storytelling and marketing inspiration like this. I will see you next week with a brand new video. Until then, I'm Alex. Ciao for now. Before you go, if you like that video, make sure to check out this one next. Storytelling is one of the most important and foundational aspects of great email marketing. But like any copywriter or business owner who writes their own emails will tell you, after a while, the originality well really starts to dry up and